on percent proportions. So the other day we learned about proportions. Now with percent proportion, what do you think it's going to have in it? Hopefully you were thinking a percent. So let's talk about it. A percent is a special ratio in which the denominator is 100. A percent proportion compares part of a quantity to the whole quantity, also called the base, using a percent. So the proportion that we set up for percent proportion is part over whole equals percent over 100. Use keywords to help you set up a percent proportion. The whole or the base represents the denominator. The part represents the numerator. And the percent amount is always followed by the percent sign, or it just says percent. And of course, you always put the percent number over 100. Okay, so let's see how this works. Number one, there are 33 people at a meeting. 40 people have been asked to attend. What percent attended the meeting? So we have 33 people at a meeting and 40 people asked to attend. Which one's the part? Good, the people who are actually at the meeting is part, and the people that were asked to attend is our whole. We want to know what percent attended the meeting. So part over whole equals percent over 100. I don't know the percent. Whenever I don't know the percent, I'm going to put an X in the percent spot over 100. So now we're going to use cross products just like we did when we solved proportions. So 40 times X is 40X. 33 times 100 is 3,300. The opposite of multiplication is division. Forty divided by 40 is a 1 in disguise. And 3,300 divided by 40 is 82.5%. So 82.5%. And that makes sense because 33 out of 40, it's pretty close to 100%. All right, let's look at number two. Only 13 students were absent from school. This was 4% of the enrollment. What is the school's enrollment? Okay, so is this asking for part, whole, or percent? It's asking for the whole because only 13 students were absent from school. So that's part of the students. And I want to look for the school's enrollment, so that's the whole school. Now percent is always over 100, so 4 over 100. And now we're going to solve that. Cross products, 4 times X is 4X. 13 times 100 is 1,300. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is a 1 in disguise. Bring down your X. And 1,300 divided by 4 is 325. And I need to label students. Okay, and that seems reasonable because 13 students is only 4%, so 325 students, it's got to be a lot more than 13 students. So that seems reasonable. Okay, let's look at the next page, number 3. During a basketball game, James attempted 15 baskets and made 6. What percent of the baskets did he make? Okay, so we got to look at this and figure out which one's a part and which one's a whole. He attempted 15 and made 6. So the ones that he made is part of the shots, and the 15 that he attempted, that's all of his shots. And we don't know the percent, so we're going to put x over 100. So I forgot to write that here. We're looking for the percent. Okay, now let's use cross products to solve this. So 15 times x is 15x. 6 times 100 is 600. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 15. 15 divided by 15 is a 1 in disguise. And 600 divided by 15 is 40. Now, what do I have to remember to put for my label? A percent, because it asks for the percent. If it asks for a percent and I don't put a percent sign, then it's wrong. Okay, let's look at number 4. There are 691 students at Beverly Manor Middle School. Let's underline that. 55% of the students went on a field trip. How many students did not go on the field trip? So there's a couple different ways that we can do this, and I'm going to show you both ways. So the first way we can do it is, well, I gave you 691 students at the school. So is that part or whole? That's whole, so we must be looking for the part. And we know that 55% went on the trip. So we can do part over whole equals percent over 100. Now I'm going to have an extra step here because when I find x here, it's only going to tell me the people that went on the field trip, and I want to know how many students did not go on the field trip. So let's look at what we have to do here. So 100 times x is 100x. 691 times 55 is 38,005. Now we're going to divide by 100. 100 divided by 100 is a 1 in disguise, and so x equals 380.05. Now, you can't have part of a student, can you? So we have to round this to the nearest whole, which would be 380. So we know 380 students went on the field trip. So if I want to find out how many did not go on the field trip, then I need to subtract that from 691. So 691 minus 380 equals 311 students. Now, the other way to do this is if 55% of the students went on the field trip, what percent did not go on the field trip? And hopefully you were thinking 45%. So we could do 100 minus 55, and that would give us 45%. And now I'm going to use 45% in my percent proportion. So x over 691 equals 45 over 100. So cross products, 100 times x is 100x. 691 times 45 is 31,095. And now our last step is to divide by both sides by 100. 100 divided by 100 is a 1 in disguise. So x equals 310.95. But we can't have part of a student, so this would be approximately 311 students. So it doesn't matter how I do it, I will still come up with the same answer doing both ways. So sometimes you have an extra step, so you've got to make sure you read the question carefully. Number 5, last season, 20% of the base hits by a ball player were home runs. Since it said 20% of the base hits were home runs, I know the home runs is the part. And the player hit 42 home runs. So I know they've given me the part. How many base hits did he get? So I know that that's going to be the whole. So I'm looking for the whole. So part over whole, 42 over x equals percent over 100, so 20 over 100. Cross products. 20 times x is 20x. 42 times 100 is 4200. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide both sides by 20. 20 divided by 20 is a 1 in disguise, and 4200 divided by 20 is 210 hits. Okay, let's look at number 6, our final question. Kaiway tested 12 batteries and found that 2 were defective. So let's underline. What percent were defective? Okay, so we tested 12 batteries and found that 2 were defective. So the 2 that were defective is my part, and the 12 that were tested is my whole. And it said what percent, so we're looking for the percent. So part over whole, so 2 over 12 equals x over 100. Cross products, 12 times x is 12x, and 2 times 100 is 200. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide both sides by 12. 12 divided by 12 is a 1 in disguise, and 200 divided by 12 is 16.6 repeating percent. Now, if you look at your choices, you don't see that exactly because you see some fractions, but 0.6 repeating is 2/3. So we do have our answer right here, 16 2/3%. That concludes our notes on percent proportion. I hope you have a great day.